Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news show. INEOS to shock people. Amorim is apparently the guy INEOS want, not Tuchel. But will they get Amorim now? Will they get him in the summer? Will they even sack Ten Hag? Will they make an approach for Amorim? We will speak about that. Personally, myself, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this manager talk, and I'm going to be doing a rant. Because one day we're Tuchel, the next day Ten Hag staying, the next day we're Amorim, the next day Ten Hag staying. The media are very much guessworking. Now, INEOS probably have a candidate they have in mind if they sack Ten Hag. Because even if INEOS do not sack Ten Hag in this international break, there's a possibility they may have to sack him in 3 weeks' time if things get bad, and they would have discussed who's going to replace Ten Hag. Now, that could be Tuchel, that could be Amorim. Reports are saying that is now Amorim. So we will get into those stories, but I'm fed up of this sort of boring sort of I'm sort of fed up of this boring media saying this, media saying that. You know, on this channel, we report everything that the media say. We report every story that comes out in mainstream media. I give you my opinion on it, and I am fed up of all the lies from the media. One day the media is telling us this, the next day the media is telling us that. I think we're looking at Amorim. I know from reliable source we're looking at Amorim. But as a United fan, I am getting so fed up with this media guesswork. It is driving me crazy. We do have updates on Lenny injury. There was some dressing room drama versus Aston Villa. We will talk about that. Updates on Mazraoui, updates on general stuff as well. So, guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, updates and more. I normally do a 10-minute video in the morning, which is me just going through the news in a 10-minute video, bish, bash, bosh. And then around 5, 6 p.m, sometimes 7 p.m. in the evenings, I do a live show, which is about 30 to 40 minutes long, where we talk about the news that's come out later on. And then we have a chat with you guys, get your opinions in, make it interactive. So if that sounds like your thing, make sure you subscribe. I try and sort of, be as interactive as I can in these shows as well. I didn't make a video earlier today because there wasn't enough news. If you're asking why there was no video earlier today as well. Mick says, Alice, I'm fed up with this media circus, everything. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting one day Nagelsmann, the next day, no, we can't get Nagelsmann. The next day, McKenna was linked to us, Thomas Frank. Tuchel linked saying that he's going to take the job. I'm fed up with the media circus because I feel like INEOS are keeping it quiet. INEOS definitely have a contingency plan. INEOS definitely had a meeting. There's definitely people like Ratcliffe inside INEOS that I'm not happy with Ten Hag and have no issue sacking him. What I know from what I've been told by people I trust and what reliable sources have said is this. There was a meeting on Tuesday. The meeting on Tuesday discussed multiple things. It wasn't just about Ten Hag sacking. INEOS had conversations about Ten Hag sacking. They've had conversations about the price. They've had conversations about who they can bring in. They've had conversations about, how they've brought Ruben Amorim and Ruben Amorim and all these players in with Ten Hag. They've had conversations about it. Ratcliffe, he's happy to pull the trigger and get Ten Hag out now. Barada Ashworth just want to support the manager, see if he can turn it around, because apparently whoever INEOS want to bring in is in the summer. The INEOS have a first choice manager candidate. Now, I don't know who that is. The media don't know who that is, but I've been told that INEOS have a first choice manager candidate, but their first choice manager candidate is not available to the summer. So the guy that INEOS really want, it could be McKenna, it could be Xabi Alonso. Not that I think we get Xabi Alonso, but from what I've heard, the guy that INEOS would really want if Ten Hag was sacked, they will not be available to get till the summer. So for me, maybe INEOS have had conversations of, so we keep Ten Hag a bit longer, hope he turns it around because, otherwise we've got Ten Hag to the end of the season, Root to the end of the season. If we bring in Tuchel now, he's maybe not the guy we want long term. We bring in Amorim now, he's maybe not the guy we want long term. From the person that INEOS apparently want is someone that isn't available in the summer. So they'll be looking at what they can do now. They've had a meeting. What if it gets really bad and we have to sack Ten Hag? And INEOS have a conversation about what's needed for Ten Hag to be sacked and when they're going to pull the trigger on him, what they'll do if Ten Hag is sacked, but what they really want to do in the summer. And the media don't know that because INEOS are not letting the media know that. So the media, I think, have massively been guessing stuff as well. Now, I like Amorim. I like Tuchel, but it could be McKenna. It could be someone we're not linked to. As Alex said, INEOS do not let things slip right and centre like the Glazers and their puppet execs used to. INEOS are very quiet on what they want. Very quiet, Every media report told us that Ten Hag had been sacked. And while that media report wasn't wrong, that Ten Hag was being sacked in the summer. Because in the summer, what happened? And people forget this. Chelsea sacked Poch. everything came out a few days before the FA Cup final, which is when Chelsea sacked Poch. So Chelsea sacked Poch. They started talking to McKenna. They started talking to numerous managers. When Chelsea were talking to these managers, they realised that Manchester United had also had talks with these managers. So then Chelsea leaked to the media that we were planning on sacking Ten Hag. Now, that never came out from INEOS. There was speculation that Ten Hag was going to be sacked in the summer, but Man United media were only guessworking. The only reason it all came out in the summer that INEOS had a plan to sack Ten Hag, because they did, Thomas Tuchel was this close to joining Manchester United, and at the last minute he refused to sign the contract, which is why it took 3 weeks to get Ten Hag clarity, because Tuchel was this close to joining. But that information only came out because Chelsea found out about it. They can't win the FA Cup because then we move into Conference League, distract the campaign. That is how it all came out, because Chelsea found out. Not because INEOS told people they were talking to Tuchel and they were going to sack Ten Hag if they could get Tuchel, and Chelsea found out. They wanted McKenna and they wanted Tuchel. Had they been able to get McKenna, had they been able to get Tuchel, Ten Hag isn't here as Man United boss right now. Like, that's what we learned from all of that as well. You know, it never came out from United as well. Guys, please hit that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I do apologise if the quality has dropped a little bit as well. Alice, are we in condition to worry for long term? Let's just get anyone to replace Ten Hag. And that, I think that is what INEOS are debating. INEOS, let's say INEOS have decided McKenna's who they want, but they're not going to get McKenna till the summer, yeah. So INEOS have decided McKenna's who they want. They're unable to get McKenna to the summer. So what do INEOS do? Do they go, do we ride out with Ten Hag a bit longer? Do we say screw McKenna plan and get Tuchel because he's available now? Do they say, do we give Ruben Amorim a go? That's, you know, I'm not saying that McKenna's who we want in the summer, but that will be the situation that INEOS are in right now. If they want this guy in the summer, they've got to realise what's the best way we can get from here to the summer and then get the guy you really want in the summer, or are you going to risk getting the guy you really want in the summer because you've realised this is bad on Ten Hag and it needs a fix? And I think that's probably the problem weighing on INEOS' mind is what to fix as well. One sec, I got a weird message. No, nothing important. Okay, just checking if I asked someone to see if they can get some insight from me. So I asked someone to go out there and see if they could get any information about what happened in that Man United meeting for me, and they've just messaged me saying nothing that hasn't been reported. After hearing what Benny had to say about Ten Hag and what's happened behind the scenes, do you really still think a new manager is going to fix this? When will people wise up? And look, we're going to get to the news. We're going to get into the stories because I'm 7 minutes in. I haven't actually got through the Amorim news or anything like that. I haven't said I'm Ten Hag out. I am having very big doubts around Ten Hag. I think if INEOS decide to sack Ten Hag, that's fair enough. For me, I wouldn't say I don't feel Ten Hag out and I don't feel Ten Hag in. I'm very on the fence because I think how bad we are, and I'm going to explain this in more detail, warrants Ten Hag being sacked. I think how bad we are and how bad we've been warrants Ten Hag being sacked. So if Ten Hag is sacked, I have no issue with that because of how bad we are. But I also feel if Ten Hag is sacked, I don't know how much better we're going to be. You know, I do worry because of issues with the players, because of issues at United, the culture, the personality. I think INEOS have every right to sack Ten Hag, and I can back them if they sack Ten Hag because of how bad it's been. And I feel like if we don't sack him, are we delaying the inevitable and we're going to get 6-7 more bad games and then they finally sack him? Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. But I also feel if they do sack him, I'm not expecting our season to be miraculously saved. I'm really not. I think we have good players. I think Ten Hag is misprofiling them. I think we could be doing better. But yeah, I think there's so much. Totally overhauling the squad, not really an option at this point, given the money spent on contracts. Yeah, what we need is someone that can find a balance, that can get the best out of the current players we have, which is why they may look at Tuchel. Ruben Amorim is someone we could look at in the short term as well. But it is probably Tuchel. So what has been said in terms of news, in terms of reports going out and about at the moment? Time Marshall said this. The options to replace Ten Hag would be headed by Thomas Tuchel and Graham Potter, is what Time Marshall said. But then we have another report saying it's Amorim, and then we have another report saying that it's Nagelsmann. So you can see that the media know absolutely nothing. But it has been said earlier today that Thomas Tuchel, actually last night, linked with United is negotiating a job as potential national coach of England. Now, this has come from Build Sport. This has come from Christian Folk. This has come from someone that has good connections with Tuchel. But we also know that Tuchel and his agents could use this link to England to get United to hurry up. Now, what we've heard, and I want to cover this here, I think this is some interesting info I'm going to give you. From information I've heard and from information I've reported and from information that's come out from Muppeteers, Athletic, credible sources, what I would assume the situation is. This is what I'm assuming the situation is. I just got a super chat. Let me read this one out. Hi, Alice. Hope you're well. I am bored, my friend. Soon. I mean, it is boring not having football at the weekend, but I'm good because I don't have to watch Man United this weekend, so I'm good about that. But what I think the situation is, Tuchel rejected Man United at the last minute in the summer. Tuchel rejected us last second in the summer, right? And that's why it took us 3 weeks to get clarity that Ten Hag was safe, because they were this close to bringing in Tuchel. And he said, nah. He said, nah, I'm not doing it. Really last minute. And no one knows why. Tuchel said, nah, I'm not doing that to myself again. But what has been sort of suggested is that we couldn't say we know if Ashworth and Vivel will be here. We got Ashworth not long later. We got Vivel not long later. But we couldn't confirm that at the time. So Tuchel was like, well, I'm not taking the job if I don't have Ashworth or Vivel. I don't have the support. If I'm going to have to do recruitment, I'm not taking the job. Is what Tuchel was saying. Now, Tuchel refused the job. He's had a bit of time out of work. He's enjoyed that time out of work. He's then seen Ashworth's come in, Vivel's come in. Tuchel now wants the United job. Muppeteers have said this. Tuchel didn't want the United job. He now is open to the United job. There's a belief in the media that Tuchel wants the United job. So, England, Lee Carsley loses to Greece. People are thinking maybe Lee Carsley might not be the one. England will have to look at their next manager. That's what the media is going to be saying. That's what the media is going to be thinking. Maybe Lee Carsley isn't the one. Tuchel, I want the United job. Tuchel maybe sitting there, maybe expecting a phone call from United this international break. Because apparently there's been contact. Maybe Tuchel's sitting there expecting a phone call from Man United this international break. Tuchel's not got that phone call from United because, I don't know, for whatever reason, United are going to give Ten Hag a little bit longer. It looks like we're going to give Ten Hag a little bit longer. So Tuchel's not received that phone call from United that he was maybe expecting this international break. So he goes to Bild and Christian Falk, who is his mouthpiece, by the way, and says, I've had some conversations about taking the England job. Because now, if INEOS' contingency plan is what's being reported, that Tuchel's who they'll go for if they sack Ten Hag, but they're going to give Ten Hag to November, Tuchel may say, well, I don't want to wait till November. So Tuchel may say, let's spread that I'm having talks with England, get INEOS a little bit on edge, so then that INEOS can give Tuchel some clarity. Because if Tuchel gets close to England job, and INEOS have Tuchel as their contingency plan, but they're trying to give Ten Hag a little bit longer, that may trigger INEOS to say, you know what, nah, Eric, you're gone, Tuchel's coming in. That's my opinion. That's my opinion on the situation based off information. I mean, I'm not saying that is right, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Tuchel links to England is Tuchel. It could be Tuchel going to be the next England manager, and I'm fine with that, from an England fan perspective. But it could also be Tuchel's thinking, well, INEOS, they want me, and I want INEOS now, and I'm going to see if I can, put some negotiation spin tactics on it as well. That's what I think as well. Alice, are you going to watch any of the matches tonight? I don't really watch international break. I don't really care about the Nations League, if I'm going to be honest as well. Appointed Tuchel could have us miss out on a better long-term option in the summer. Assumably, we've done that several times post Alex Ferguson era, and that is the problem. INEOS probably have someone they have in mind that they want in the summer that isn't Tuchel, and they're thinking: do we do sort of long-term pain, short-term gain, and get Tuchel in, or do we ride out another season? Which I don't think we can do, because Man United, this will be the first time we've not finished in the Champions League 2 successive seasons in a row, which means we're going to take some massive, significant losses and be in PSR trouble. Do we ride out the season, not finish in the Champions League, but then we'll be better off for it because they'll get the manager they want at the end of the season, next season? That's the big question. I don't know if INEOS can afford to ride it out, if I'm going to be honest as well. Nations League's only good to watch when your country's playing in it, yeah. I Nations League as well. It's just a bit boring as well. The mindset of many of these players will never change when you're young and you think a certain way. That doesn't change until you're older and mature. There's a weak mentality. I agree there's a weak mentality in the squad. But let's get back into the news. Let's get back into a few stories. So what has been said on Amorim and what has been said on Ten Hag? So Romano said that Erik Ten Hag hasn't actually received any communication from INEOS. So because of that, Erik Ten Hag is preparing for Brentford as normal. INEOS haven't given him any communication to say safe, but INEOS haven't given him any communication to say, look, you're out the door. So Erik Ten Hag thinks, well, I'm going to continue on things as normal, bish, bash, bosh. And, that's absolutely fair enough. Now, it has been said that Manchester United have earmarked Sporting Lisbon manager Ruben Amorim as a potential candidate to replace Ten Hag. Now, this was said by Dean Jones. It was then said via Give Me Sport. However, according to Give Me Sport sources, United have added Amorim's name to the list of candidates they're tracking, and we're looking at Amorim, Frank and Tuchel. We then got more information saying that Jim Ratcliffe is an admirer of Thomas Tuchel. We've said this multiple times, but concerns remain within Man United's hierarchy regarding Tuchel's long-term stability, which is what we were talking about a second ago. INEOS, which holds a significant stake in the club, is keen to avoid media speculation surrounding the manager position and has provided no official information on the matter. Now, again, saying INEOS are not giving information out to the public. All this media reports, all this media news is guesswork. Ratcliffe likes Tuchel, but there is concerns about how he'll do long-term within INEOS. However, there is speculation that INEOS could surprise many by appointing Ruben Amorim as the successor to Ten Hag should the Dutchman be dismissed, with a decision possibly coming at an unexpected moment. So there is now talk saying, because the feeling is if we sat Ten Hag, Tuchel's coming in. Now, if we sat Ten Hag and Tuchel's the England manager, Tuchel isn't coming in. But there's a feeling they sat Ten Hag, they bring Tuchel in. Now there's rumours Tuchel might take the England job this, Tuchel might take the England job that. Now, if we sack Ten Hag, what is the option? It might not be Tuchel. Some sources are saying if we sat Ten Hag, it's Amorim. Now, we spoke about this. Man United would have to pay a bit of money and it would be a bit more costly, but we can get Amorim in now if we pay the money, which will be costly. And now, I don't know if we'll do that, but if United are desperate, they might. So there's a potential that all this talk that we're going to bring Thomas Tuchel in this, Thomas Tuchel in that, Thomas Tuchel's who we're going to replace Ten Hag with, some sources are suggesting it's Amorim that they want. It's Amorim that they replace Ten Hag with. Because INEOS in that meeting came to a conclusion. And in that meeting, they came to a conclusion of who they really want as manager, who might not be available to summer, and what they would do if they have to sack Ten Hag in the next few weeks. Because there is a possibility they're going to have to sack Ten Hag in the next few weeks. Whether you like me saying that or not, the football we've been playing lately is absolutely crap. And if INEOS go out there and say we've got to sack Erik Ten Hag in a few weeks, there's a possibility they're going to have to do that. Because if we've been bad for 18 months, I don't think we can just miraculously change it around in the next 3 weeks to make Ten Hag miraculously safe. INEOS may have to sack him. So they'll be looking at that, and they'll be looking at the situation as well. Tuchel's got the dog in him. He's good in tournament football, good in international football. I completely agree. Sky Sports News have posted a video of Fernandes talking Portuguese about the Poland game and translated it themselves to say something completely different about United. No joke. Do you know what? I haven't seen the story you're talking about, Matthew. And I'll look this up after I'm live. But I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. A lot of the people in mainstream media, write things to fit their agenda. And I reckon I wouldn't be shocked if they've mistranslated something that Bruno said to make it sound like he said something worse than he actually has. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I haven't seen that, but I haven't looked, but that wouldn't surprise me as stuff. Great stuff as always. Appreciate that as well. Big up everybody in the chat as well. Wow, McKenna to United stops nonsense. I mean, McKenna's who INEOS like, but it wouldn't happen until the summer. According to the media. Again, I mean, the title says, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of the media nonsense. I don't know if we want McKenna, but if we're going off what the media said, McKenna is someone that they like. We won't be able to get him to the summer, but they like. Should been off this National League, these players could do a rest and said, Saka injured, Odegaard got injured last international break for Arsenal. I really like it when Man United players aren't really picked for international duty. I can't lie, but all the injuries that get picked off. I've always said this with international break. Stop the Nations League. We don't need it. There should be an international break in November and an international break in March. We do not need a September one. We do not need an October one. That's four less games for the players, 2 weeks extra of rest, 4 weeks extra of rest, 4 less games. Why don't, instead of having an international break in September, October, November, and then March, we have one in March, we have one in November. That's 4 international games. That's enough, and that's fine. We don't need 8. That's 4 games out of the calendar to compensate for the 4 more in the calendar with the new Champions League format. The players can have a rest, less injuries. That's the way I see it as well. Alice, did it ever something that occur that INEOS had that meeting with Tuchel and like a job interview, it wasn't a cultural fit, hence he rejected. Now his agents are pushing him to get back into any job, maybe. There was a rumour that one of the reasons that Tuchel wouldn't take the United job is because INEOS actually rejected him. Now, I think Tuchel rejected United, but apparently INEOS didn't want to change certain things to make Tuchel want the job. And their relationship could have been a big red flag, and there was a feeling they might not get on. What was definitely a rumour going about as well. Alice, you think Ten Hag's here for Brentford? Yes, I do think Ten Hag is here for Brentford, if I'm going to be honest as well. We got everybody in the chat. We got all those people coming in with support as well. Tuchel also a time bomb waiting to explode. He's fallen out everywhere he's gone, and we have many young developing players, and that's the fear over Tuchel. Young developing players falling out. It doesn't always seem like the best long-term solution as well. Someone says Sky Sports Fernandez slaps Ten Hag's bald head. Imagine if Sky Sports started writing something like that as well. Alice, don't you think Ten Hag's attitude is dreadful? Your club's sitting 14th in the league, playing dreadful football, and your comedian chief's on holiday. Should you not be staying and working? I think sometimes people need a rest to get back in that mindset to work. So I'm not going to give him too much stick for that. But I do think when we're 14th in the league and he brings up the fact that we've won 2 trophies, it's a bit like, okay, you've mentioned that multiple times. Because I want to show you something here. I want to show you something I put on Twitter, actually. And this is what concerns me about United. And I was going to get into this in a second anyway. Look at this. So, this is what I tweeted. Man United are currently 14th. Our underlying stats place us in 10th for expected position after 7 games. At this time last year, we were in 11th. Not much progress. So, this time last year, we were 10th in the league, but our expected points had us at about 11th. This time, we're 14th in the league. Our expected points have us 10th after 7 games. For the past 18 months, we've been underperforming like a team that would finish between 10th and 14th, which is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. I can understand not challenging for the top spots right now, but being this far off is concerning. So these are United's underlying numbers. These are Manchester United's underlying numbers. So this is this season. So this is quite an interesting graph because it's obviously expected points for all the Premier League clubs. As you can see, when you look at all the expected points, Chelsea would be in second. The top 3 would be Liverpool first. Liverpool deserve to be top. Chelsea would be second. City third. Spurs fourth. Arsenal are down there in 8th. And they're finishing third right now, which is crazy. Well, this is where, saying have we overperformed, have we underperformed? Yes, we've underperformed our metrics. But when we've underperformed our metrics, but our metrics will put us in 10th. It's not like our metrics put us in second, we're 7th, and we've underperformed them. That's a good sign. Tottenham have got elements of that. They're 9th, their metrics put them in 4th. I think Tottenham on a good track. Our metrics have us 10th, okay? And this year, I wanted to see progress. We're 7 games in. Our metrics last year had us 11th at this exact same point. 10th, 11th, that is not enough progress. We need to be in that top 6 for metrics. I'm not expecting top 3. I'm not expecting top 4. I'm expecting top 6 for metrics. We're 10th. And for a year and a half under Erik Ten Hag, we've had 10th to 15th place metrics with the money that we spent. And that is not good enough. Scott, thank you for the super chat. He says Tuchel's got great PR and idiot fall for it. I think Tuchel's a good manager. I think, he's won the Champions League. He's good in tournament football, if I'm going to be totally honest. But I do think there's some long-term concerns around him. There's a certain amount of fans that think this is acceptable and normal. This is not acceptable. I like Ten Hag and I want Ten Hag to succeed, and I've given Ten Hag a lot of backing. But when he has our numbers and metrics in the 10th to 15th range for a year and a half, for me, we got lucky to finish 8th last season. We overperformed to finish 8th times last season. We did. So is this going to catch up? And is us finishing 14th where we're going to finish because that's where our metrics have had us for the whole of last season, but we overperformed and finished 8th. Is that going to catch up to us? I think that's the big worry as well. To look at the table this early in the season, 14th isn't great, but 6 points off top 4 seasons long, and that's true. I look at the table, I see Manchester United 14th, I feel disgusted. I feel disgusted to see us on 14th. But as Mick has said, we're only 7 games into the season with 6 points off 4th. It's not unreachable. And I think that's why Ten Hag kept his job this international break. I'm assuming Ten Hag's keeping his job. Because getting top 4 isn't out of reach. Are they not going to sack him to his out of reach? Maybe. But getting top 4 isn't out of reach. So it's one of those where we are only 6 points off top 4. But I feel like the longer and longer we play like that, the more and more out of reach it's going to be. Because top 4, in my opinion, is starting to feel a bit out of reach. It's early on in the season, but going from last season and our play this term not looking good at all. I thought the first 3 games of the season, City, Community Shield, Fulham and Brighton, I was happy with that. I saw progress in our play. Since Liverpool, it's gone downhill massively. If Vinara didn't save that penalty, we could have lost to Southampton and we could be in the relegation zone right now with our only win being Fulham, which took a last-minute winner, which is worrying. I think we deserve to be 1-0 up at half-time versus Brighton. We were 1-0 down. I think we probably did enough to beat City in the Community Shield. But we've been nowhere near good enough. We can't make excuses. We're running out of excuses for United, and the underlying numbers, the metrics, the statistics is incredibly worrying. Incredibly worrying if I'm giving you my opinion from a United fan perspective. But I do want to get into a few more stories. So obviously this is where we were, but there's a few interesting reports coming about, and I wanted your guys' thoughts on this. So this was said. Manchester United's dressing room was bugged before their match at Aston Villa in a surprising security breach. A prankster claims he tricked Villa Park staff and planted a hidden device in there 2 days before the 0-0 draw. It recorded under fire manager Erik Ten Hag's team talks for the Crunch Premier League game. Aston Villa has launched an investigation into how that happened. Now, all I'm going to say is I kind of want to hear this team talk. So before the game, someone planted a device in the Man United changing room and had listened to Ten Hag's team talk. So I don't know if Ten Hag's team talk was part of the bus and defend. I think that would have been what it was. But I'd be really intrigued to know what Ten Hag's team talk was, especially if he thought no one from the outside world was listening. And Man United's third kit for next season is going to be black and gold, apparently. Oh, that's interesting news, but we'll talk about that later on. That'll be really nice. I'll get that up on the screen in a sec. But I'm kind of intrigued. I almost want to kind of hear what was said. The Villa Gate. This is like the most international break for the story ever, but apparently Villa, someone's put some stuff in there. I want to get something up on the screen quickly. I saw this from United District. This would be sexy, I can't lie. Let me get this up. Here we go. Man United's 25-26 third kit will have the same colours as the 93-94 away kit. So this sort of black with that sort of yellowy gold. That's a nice kit. I don't know who's done that. Someone's had a elite kit concept, but that would be one real nice kit. I can't lie. A little bit off topic, but that would be a really nice kit. Someone said, I miss Maino, he should have played for England. I'm glad Maino didn't play for England because when England last lost, how the media tried to scapegoat Maino when there was 6 players that had a worse game than Maino on the pitch. Yeah, do you remember that? That's Jacob Steinberg and crap. If Maino had played and we'd lost, they would have blamed Maino somehow. So now we lost without Maino, they can't blame Maino. So I'm glad that Maino's not on international duty because it's always scapegoat Maguire, scapegoat Rashford, scapegoat Maino. Whenever England lose, they look to scapegoat the Man United player, and you cannot deny that. We haven't had a nightmare run of fixtures and believe we only have 2 wins in the league so far and no wins in Europe. 2 wins in the league in 7, 5 goals in 7. I'm not going to lie. It is bad and it's going to get worse. Well, hopefully it doesn't get worse, but the fixtures we play are going to get worse. Let me get this up on this screen. This is what worries me. When I get the fixtures up and I realise what else we've got to do. Look at this here. These are the fixtures. Brentford. Brentford just put 5 past walls and have been quite good. And Brentford, last time we played Brentford, when we played Brentford on the Ten Hag, we've lost 4-0. We've been battered by them. Fenerbahce away from home, never going to be easy. West Ham. Now, West Ham haven't started the season, but they got a massive win to Ipswich. West Ham's one of our bogey teams. West Ham away has always been one of our bogey teams. They've got a very good win at Ipswich. Maybe they've clicked. Leicester, that's fine. Chelsea's underlying numbers put them second. Chelsea have been unbelievably good this season. Should win that one. Should beat Leicester. So we've got PROK, Leicester, Ipswich, Bodo, Everton. We've got 6 games in a row that are winnable. And then we go Arsenal. Loss. Nottingham Forest, they've beat all the big teams so far. Could lose again. Man City could lose again. Bournemouth look good. Wolves on Boxing Day is an easier one. Newcastle difficult. Liverpool difficult. Southampton's an easier one. Brighton's difficult. But the fixture list is difficult, and it's going to get potentially worrying, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to get some more information up on the screen. I want to get into a few more stories, but yeah, we'll get in through that international break fodder. Euro is expected back in action in November, and all signs suggest he will meet the target that United posted after United posted a video of the French defender running on a treadmill on the way back. Euro captioned the video. United boss Erik Ten Hag has repeatedly stressed that Euro is meeting all of his fitness targets, but is reluctant to rush him back. Euro is expected back end of October, beginning of November, very soon. Euro is expected back in 2 weeks. Ten Hag's not going to rush him back, but he's expected back soon, and he's making big progress on his return from injury, which is good to see. In terms of other boosts, Manchester United see Kobbie Mainoo's contract extension as a priority, but it's not in the final stages as of yet. There's also a good chance that Amad Diallo signs a new deal at the club. These extension priorities, hopefully we can get Amad Diallo and Kobbie Mainoo's extension done. In bad news, James Overy's picked up an injury. He's torn his quad, and the new signing is now going to be out for about 3 months, maybe 4. And also, it has been said in regards to Mazraoui that there was rumours of him being out for 2 months, but he's expected back in a couple of weeks with some health issues. So that's less of a blow as well. Alice, don't underestimate anyone. We're managed by Ten Hag. Someone said, I can't wait for Euro's downfall. I mean, do you know what? People can't wait for Euro's downfall. They can't. Rivals cannot, because they're jealous that we got him. But I will say this, and I never thought I'd say this, Euro being injured these first 3 months of the season might be a blessing in disguise for him, because the way Ten Hag sets up, he's given our centre-backs a very difficult job. And they'll see that everyone is struggling in defence for United, and it's not Euro. Whereas if Euro had played that game versus Porto, he'd be getting rinsed, because people want Euro to fail. People can't wait to give Euro stick. So, I mean, Euro getting injured could be a secret blessing in disguise. In my opinion, it's time to introduce Harry Amas. He's picked up an injury. Apparently, he's going to be out for 4 weeks. But I'm surprised that Ten Hag didn't give him an opportunity to at least put him on the bench earlier on. He said he wasn't ready physically, which was interesting. But look, that is the end of sort of all the news I wanted to get through in today's show. I'm just going to make sure no breaking news has come out before I end the show and stuff, guys. But look, I want to thank everyone for tuning into today's live show. Been quite a good live show. Got some really interesting comments down below. But I'm going to wrap up here. So big up everybody for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with a video update. And then this time tomorrow I'll be back with a live stream. I'll see you next time. Bye.